Hello fellow Earpers and welcome back to my Wynonna Earp recap. Today we're going to talk about episode 2.9 called Forever Mine Nevermind. And I'm going to start with the storyline about the painting because we start the episode with it. First, there was a very fun Bo Smith cameo in that very short scene. For those who don't know, Bo Smith is the original creator of the Wynonna Earp comics the series is based on. And he was there for a short moment, like sizing up Doc Holliday, which is fun since Tim Rosen and Bo Smith wrote a few Wynonna Earp comics together. For me, we start with a bit of a question: why is Doc in that store in the first place? He doesn't want to buy anything. He's just there for whiskey. I can imagine that he comes back from the salt flats and is like shocked by finding Constance Clutie decapitated, and then going into the store and being like, they have to have whiskey, I need a drink. And then he also buys this painting, I think out of an impulsive decision about, hey, great for like a children's room, how about the child Wynonna's gonna have? Anyway, he buys the painting and he brings the painting to the homestead. Interesting thing about the mechanism of the homestead, in season 1 it was said that the ammonite, so the bedrock the homestead is built on, keeps away evil. But I think it just keeps away revenants, because we've seen this stone witch on the lands, we've seen now the weird door on the land, and so it's not really clear how the whole law around the ammonite around the house actually is, just to keep it in mind for future reference. I'm a little bit confused how Doc is not seeing that something's going on when the painting is already changed the moment he opens it with Wynonna, but anyway, he doesn't. And then we have this creepy doll making them saying out loud all the things they think, which is a good catalyst to just have them fight for once, and not keeping secrets. Also, the doll was super creepy, like, ooh, I hate murder dolls. I had to rewatch the whole scene because the first time I was just covering my ears and be like, oh, when is the doll going to appear? But it was not that scary in the end. More like the anticipation of there being a jump scare was scarier than the actual doll. It was also, and maybe we go on with the Wynonna Doc interaction because it fits nicely. So we have this dinner between Doc and Wynonna, where they're very honest with each other, which I really like, and there's actually just a discussion between the two of those, which we don't see often in series in general. They don't have a fight and don't like stay with their idea, but they have a discussion and develop some kind of idea or point together. And I really like that Doc is calling Wynonna out on being a bit crazy with the whole, oh, I'm gonna break the seal, I'm gonna break the curse with just killing the demon. I have no idea how, but I'm just gonna do it. And Doc's just like, what the hell's going on? No, you can't. Then we get Doc's tragic backstory, and of course everyone has a childhood trauma, how it is in TV, that's always their thing. Like, almost no one in this series doesn't have one. We don't know about Nicole, but we get backstory at some point, this is gonna happen. Yeah, and then they kind of, like, they do, at the beginning they don't come to an agreement. Doc doesn't want to give up his immortality, Wynonna calls him selfish, they fight a lot, but in the end, he makes her swear that she won't do this before the child is born, because the stakes are too high, and Wynonna wants him by her side when she starts breaking the curse or killing the demon Clutie, and that was a very nice coming together moment after the whole fight they had. Then we have Doc getting down on one knee and giving her the ring, which basically means he's giving Wynonna immortality. Like, if she puts on the ring, she doesn't really age. Does that mean the baby's not gonna grow? Interesting question. They're probably not gonna do it, but interesting question. Also, on the inside of the ring, we see no symbols, with which I have been mentioning in my previous recap that there should be symbols because all of the seals have symbols. It doesn't have symbols, which I find a bit annoying, but see more about that in the other recap. Moving on to Rosita. Rosita finally gets a bit of background story this week, which I really liked. I mean, she turns out to be a revenant, which for me was not that big of a surprise after last episode, where it was kind of obvious that she hasn't left the Ghost River Triangle at all. But it's still cool that we finally know. And then we have her whole interaction with Waverly, which is a very cool and friendly one. She gives like great advice to her. Then we also have the like Waysita kiss kind of thing, which was a bit annoying. Because yes, they're having some kind of moment, they're having an understanding, but Waverly just kissing Rosita, for me it's way out of character, right? For me it just makes sense from a meta perspective, where I see them putting it in for angst's sake and for making the relationship between Nicole and Waverly more complicated. It makes sense that Waverly's upset. It makes sense that maybe she even sends the text, right? I'm not talking about this. But then her kissing Rosita. Okay, like interesting talk about cool science nerdy bubble things. I find that attractive, but Waverly kind of not cheating on Nicole, but doing something with someone else. It seems a bit weird. It also buys into the whole bisexual cheating trope, which is a problem, and especially since it's so off character, it's very annoying that it's there. People already have been complaining about it, especially from the bisexual community, and I think they have a right to do, because if we want to have angst in a relationship, they just could have come up with something else. Even just writing the very angry text message would have been enough. Like, the other thing is just there for what reason, really? Like, I don't see it. I really don't know why it's in there, but well, we'll have to deal with the aftermath anyway. We'll see next episode. Also, Rosita, right in the beginning, has this interaction with Dolls, which is very interesting, where she kind of has trust issues with him, in the sense that she doesn't want to give up her formula of the serum she gives Dolls. And I think that's the case because she's been offered protection for producing the serum, and if she just gives up the formula for the serum, who's going to protect her? Like, is she then worthless for BBD? Is she worthless for the Earp Squad? So she keeps it tight to herself because it's her insurance, right? And then Dolls plays this very mean trick on her, that he gives her like this like thing where she could go to a spa, and then he breaks into Shirley's cellar to get the notebook with the formula. And I really like that Jaime in this moment is like, he's trusting Rosita, he's trusting his fellow scientists. He's just like, wait, you shouldn't do that, that's not how this goes. And he's trying to argue with Dolls that he shouldn't like distrust Rosita that much, even though Dolls knows that she's maybe some kind of evil or something. I think he felt it when he was tied to the bed in episode 3, 4, and Rosita was there taunting him about the serum. But on the other hand, I mean, why doesn't he trust her? She really done this all for him. It's Dolls. He's like basically living trust issues. Then we have the storylines about Tucker and the widows, which starts with them finding a burnt body where they think, oh, it's Tucker, and we were all like, whoa, Tucker just being dead, dying that unceremoniously, interesting. And then he came back, which was to be expected kind of at the beginning, but not for sure. And Tucker is like the uber creep anyway, right? He's super creepy because he's like the internet troll in real life. He's like super sexist, he's super abusive, he's super creepy, he's mega violent. And he actually kind of kills Rosita, but then she's a revenant, but he just kills everyone in his way to like come to the point where he possesses Waverly, which is mega creepy. Yeah, but he's also smart. That's something we shouldn't forget. He's smart because he fakes his own death. He knows that the widows are using him, and he tries to fight them. That's why he also killed Constance Cludy, so he's not going to be underestimated. But the good thing is Waze gets away, and he gets eaten by Beth Gardner, or the widow who's impersonating Beth Gardner. Can't really say I'm sad about that. yeah, no human being should die that way, but it's Tucker Gardner. He's like the superhuman monster in this whole season, which is an interesting part if we compare it to Buffy. I forgot which season, but there we also have the season where Willow's going evil, and in this one we recognize that the humans are actually the most scary and dangerous monsters we could encounter. So I think it's very nice that Tucker's in there. Then we have the widows. We actually move forward with the widow storyline, and I really like that the two widows start to fight and start to betray each other, because it's not just like one unified big bad we're fighting, but it's more complex. They do have own interests, they act differently, so it's not just easy to beat like the one evil that is there, but there's so many evils this season and they're all acting at the same time, which also makes the different episodes sometimes a bit confusing, because the monster of the week is not that important, then the widows are acting, Tucker's acting, the Earp squad now consists of 2 more people, but I like the complexity of the whole thing. Also with the widows, we clearly see it has to rhyme to be magical, like all their spells rhyme, which I know is like a small thing, but it's a bit like old-timey funny, and I really like that happening. We also see in the scene where Mercedes is kind of lighting the candle and trying to find out where to go next before she goes to Nicole's, that Danny Kind really has a problem with the gloves. She said it in an interview in the Wynonna Earp podcast, which I will link in the description because it's a very nice interview with her, but she said that she hated these like gloves because she couldn't really touch anything, and when you watch that scene again you see that she really has problems grabbing anything and lighting the candle and putting the ring somewhere. She's just using her whole hand all the time and not using like very small motions, so that was a neat like meta detail to see. Yeah, and then of course we see her going to Nicole's place. We're thinking that Waverly and Nicole finally are gonna talk to each other. Not happening. We're gonna have Scary Widow in the door, probably there to get Nicole's body, because the ring, so the last seal, is now at the homestead. Both widows asked the map with the rings where to find the last seal, and it pointed at the homestead, and I think the Mercedes widow is just trying to find a body that gets her on the homestead easily, and that would be Nicole. So we're gonna see what happens to Nicole next episode. We also saw in the preview that her cat is finally gonna be there. We've waited for the cat like for ages, and the cat has been so important in fanfiction, so that's a nice fan service. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a very angsty episode next week, because we are already having like previews that say, oh, Waverly is going to have to decide between her sister and her love, and whew, boy, this is going to be interesting. But we're entering the last, I think, the last 3 episodes of the season, so that means the stakes are going to be higher and higher. That's quite normal. And maybe just one last sentence before we end this. In the fandom, a lot of people have been talking about the Wayseater kiss and how like they liked it or they didn't like it, or they had like criticism because of the bisexual cheating trope. The problem is that at the moment in the fandom, a lot of people are calling people who criticize like that they are destroying the fandom, or that they're just bashing and that they're not respectful. Like, for me, there's of course a difference between shouting at people of the cast or anyone or Emily Andras and legit criticism. So I would just ask people to be considerate in the sense of how we criticize, but also to let criticism happen, because we're active fans, we have opinions. I don't always like anything, like everything that happens. I say it in recap. That's quite normal, so let people have their opinions. That doesn't mean they hate the whole show, but it means maybe this one part was just not their thing. So with that, we're gonna see each other next week.